Whenever you hear people discuss the show SpongeBob SquarePants, one of the first thoughts that comes to your mind is the characters. With a series that has gone on for almost 25 years, SpongeBob has created some iconic characters. Characters like Patrick, Mr. Krabs, Squidward, and of course SpongeBob are some of the most recognizable characters in animation. However, there is one character that has always stuck out to me, since they don't really fit in with the rest of the SpongeBob cast, but is also very loved and memorable as well. I am of course talking about Patchy the Pirate. What makes Patchy interesting is that while he is a SpongeBob character, he is sorta in his own universe, as he mostly exists in the real world compared to the fictional world of SpongeBob, and that started to make me wonder, why does Patchy exist? By that I mean, what is Patchy's role in the SpongeBob universe, and how has Patchy changed as a character over time? Well, today I will try to answer those questions as I tell you about the history of Patchy the Pirate. After the success of SpongeBob's first season, Nickelodeon wanted the show to produce specials, and since specials usually run for 22 minutes instead of a regular 11-minute runtime, Steven Hillenburg, the show's creator, thought of a way to achieve the 22-minute runtime. Eventually, Hillenburg came up with the idea of a live-action host, and wanted Tom Kenny to play him since he already played SpongeBob, and thus Patchy the Pirate was born. Patchy would make his debut in SpongeBob's Christmas special titled Christmas Who. Patchy would begin the episode by decorating his house for Christmas, and you can see that a lot of his decorations are SpongeBob themed. He then talks about SpongeBob and Patrick getting ready for Christmas, and tries to prepare cookies, but his pet Party is trying to eat the cookie dough. Patchy then decides to read a letter from a kid, asking if SpongeBob likes Christmas. Then Patchy remarks that SpongeBob didn't always celebrate Christmas, and then tells the story of SpongeBob's first Christmas, which is the start of the animated portion.
Quack! Potty! They on me cookie dough!
After the animated portion ends, Patchy returns, and Party lays Yoshi eggs on his head as a sign of gratitude. Then Patchy will invite the ladies to give him a kiss under the mistletoe, but will instead be chased by Party trying to get a kiss himself, and that's where the episode ends. During his first appearance, we actually find out a lot about Patchy. We learn that he is from Encino, a neighborhood in LA, and that he is the president of the SpongeBob SquarePants fan club. We can see that he has admiration for SpongeBob, as his house has a lot of SpongeBob decor in it, as well as Patchy's general knowledge of SpongeBob. We can also see Hillenburg's vision for Patchy, as Patchy is supposed to be a parody of cheap live-action hosts from local cable shows. We see this by Patchy changing his eye patch from eye to eye, as well as Party just being a puppet, along with the very goofy vibe of the segments. Speaking of Party, we also learn a lot about him, as it is shown that he's sort of an adversary to Patchy, since he ate all of his cookie dough, as well as trying to get a kiss from him. But it's also shown that he does care for Patchy, which I think makes for a very interesting dynamic between the two. Overall, I think Patchy had a very solid debut, as it did make the episode feel unique, and provides some funny and memorable moments. Patchy's next appearance will be in the episode Shanghaied, in a segment called Patchy's Pick. The segment will start with Patchy introducing the episode as one he picked personally. Then him and Party will start arguing, and this will result in Party shooting Patchy out of the cannon, ending the scene. After the end of Shanghaied, Patchy will ask the audience how they enjoyed the episode. Then he would try to open up a fan letter, but Party would light a wick and blow both of them up, ending the episode. While I did like this appearance from Patchy, it isn't really the full picture as I looked at the modern version of Shanghaied. In the original airing, the special was called You Wish, and Patchy would work the phones as fans would call in and have the chance to vote on who will get the last wish in the episode between SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward. So while the tip might not have been successful as the team hoped, you have to give credit to them for trying to use Patchy in new and creative ways. Patchy would make his season 3 debut in the special SpongeBob's House Party. The episode would begin with Patchy hosting his own house party. He would then explain that he tried to invite SpongeBob himself, and while he did get the letter, he couldn't really read it since, well, he lives underwater, but yet he still somehow burns it. Anyway, Patchy will then introduce us to his guest, which includes him almost killing a mermaid and pissing off Neptune. He will then tell us about SpongeBob's house party, switching to the anime portion. During the midway point, Patchy will return and will try to sell his dance tutorial video to the audience, but no one is really interested. Don't worry, Patchy, I would love to watch your dance tutorials. Anyway, Patchy will invite a band of parrots called the Bird Brains. Patchy doesn't really like the band since they're birds and play loud music. He then gets blasted across the neighborhood by the band, which pisses him off as he tries to kick them out by making them walk the plank. However, since they're birds, they just fly away, ending the scene. After SpongeBob's section ends, Patchy will return and try to liven up the party by playing his own music, but his music is sort of terrible.
Oh, Scurvy ain't for the likes of me. Yo ho, 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 yo ho. Oh!
It makes the party guests feel awkward. Patchy would suggest for Patchy to do a flute solo, but instead gives him a stick of dynamite and blows him up, leaving only his head. Patchy would take over as the party host and bring back the Bird Brains, who would perform the song Underwater Sun and get the party guests tied back up. Even Patchy, who is now in a barrel, enjoyed the performance. Patchy will even invite some women for Patchy, but the women are female parrots that sexually assault Patchy. Then Patchy will thank everyone for watching and close out the episode. I really liked how these segments expanded the world of Patchy, as there were more characters and stories involved. However, the segments did feel overcrowded at times, as it seemed like a lot of the content was put into the segments. But there were still some memorable moments like the song, and Patchy getting absolutely blasted across the neighborhood. Patchy would make his next appearance in the special SpongeBob BC. The special would start in an unusual way as Patchy's house begins to transform into a prehistoric cave. Patchy would then introduce the audience and talk about how great the past was. Patchy, however, would come in wearing robot gear instead of his prehistoric outfit, and say that the future is better than the past. This causes a major argument that gets so heated that even SpongeBob can feel their presence in another dimension.
But I've got the strangest feeling that somewhere a pirate and parrot are arguing about me. And the parrot is winning.
The argument will still go on as the scene ends. Midway through the anime portion, Patchy and Patchy will continue arguing, and will even start keeping score between the past and future. Patchy will even bring in a caveman while Patchy brought in a robot. This will only make the situation worse, as the robot and caveman will start fighting and destroying the house, ending the scene. After SpongeBob's episode ends, we return to Patchy, who is upset because his section is ruined. Patchy tells him to go back in the house and that he has a surprise for him. We then find out that the caveman and robot are now friends, and they even perform a song called When Worlds Collide, about how both the past and future are great. Patchy and Patchy will then work out their differences and make up. Patchy will even give Patchy a present, that being a man-eating dinosaur. So I guess the Yoshi eggs from the Christmas special finally hatched. Anyway, the dinosaur will eat Patchy, ending the episode. This is probably Patchy's best segment that I've talked about so far. The synergy between Patchy and Patchy is just very fun and entertaining to watch, and the chaos throughout makes the segments memorable. Not to mention the song, which is an absolute banger. Speaking of bangers, Patchy's next appearance is widely regarded as his best, which is in the special called The Sponge Who Could Fly, aka the Lost Episode. The episode will start with Patchy checking up on Patchy while he takes a shower. Patchy tells Patchy that the audience is here to watch the Lost Episode. However, Patchy says that he has lost the Lost Episode, and that the audience should forget about SpongeBob. A memorial will then be played for SpongeBob, which includes his highlights during the first 3 seasons of the show. Patchy is upset about losing the Lost Episode, and wishes there was a way to find it. Then all of a sudden, BAM! A map crashes through his window that is for the Lost Episode. With renewed hope, Patchy and Patchy decide to go on an adventure through Encino to find the Lost Episode. After making many stops, Patchy will finally arrive at his destination at the playground. but will first have to go through pain and suffering. Finally, after his hard work, Patchy would start digging and find the lost episode. He would return home to watch it, but instead of an episode play, it instead shows a 2-minute clip of SpongeBob walking. Patchy would feel cheated and would go into a big outrage after all of his hard work amounted to nothing. He would say that SpongeBob betrayed him and would start destroying his SpongeBob merchandise. However, Patchy says that the real episode is starting, and Patchy would quickly repair his merchandise and sit down, transitioning to the show. After SpongeBob's episode ends, Patchy would try to rewind it but lost the remote. Then all of a sudden, BAM! The remote would crash through his window. Patchy can't figure out how the remote works, and the tape would start to unravel. Patchy would start crying after the lost episode is now gone forever, as he is wrapped with the tape, as a mariachi band plays in the background. Finally, the narrator would close out, ending the episode. There's just so many memorable moments in these segments, with Patchy's treasure hunt and his breakdown to SpongeBob's walk cycle, which has become an iconic meme over the years. Also, the Patchy segments were arguably better than the episode itself, which tells you just how great these segments were. However, when it seemed like Patchy was starting to peak as a character, his appearances would start to diminish. This is most likely due to Hillenburg leaving after season 3, since not only was he the show's creator, but he also voiced Patchy as well. Patchy was also originally planned to be a part of SpongeBob's first theatrical movie. However, those plans will later be cancelled as Nickelodeon thought Patchy's low-budget TV effect would make the movie look cheap to audiences. While I would have liked to see Patchy appear in the movie, I could sort of see Nickelodeon's point as well, since any anime show getting a theatrical movie is a big honor, and you should try to make it look as professional as possible. Patchy will also stop appearing in every SpongeBob special, as SpongeBob has grown into a pop icon, and doesn't need Patchy to make specials feel, well, special. But Patchy would still make appearances from time to time, and while he didn't appear in Season 4, he would make 3 appearances in Season 5, starting with the debut episode, Friend or Foe. The episode would begin with Patchy and Patchy getting jobs at a fast food restaurant called the Poop Deck. With a name like that, I'm surprised they still have business, as I feel it would be a place that people would try to avoid at all possible. Anyway, they are working there to try to be like their idol, SpongeBob. We then see Patchy's boss, who is also a pirate and just says "Org," but Patchy still understands him since I guess it's a pirate thing. Patchy would then try to make his own patties, but Patchy would say they all suck. And to be fair, I have to agree with Patchy since most of Patchy's patties look uneatable. However, this would cause Patchy to get upset and decide to end their friendship, as both walk away while crying. Patchy, while still crying, tells the audience that this isn't the first time food has ruined friendships, as he will introduce us to how Plankton and Krabs used to be friends, and then transitions the audience to SpongeBob's section. At the midway point, Patchy would return and would start to miss Patchy. Patchy would then come back and tell Patchy to get back to work. Patchy would get mad at Patchy for bossing him around, then notices that he has been promoted to assistant manager. Patchy says they got the promotion due to his GED. Patchy would say that he has been doing a good job. However, a customer throws up into a bag, making him realize that he hasn't. He will then ask Patchy what he should do, and Patchy tells him to practice. We then see a montage of Patchy preparing a patty. Patchy will finish making his patty, and Patchy comments how awful it smells. Patchy will then try it himself, and to no one's surprise, it tastes really bad. So bad in fact that he orders the patty to walk the plank. Patchy will then comment how SpongeBob's first patty probably wasn't good either. However, Patchy shows a clip of SpongeBob making a perfect patty as a baby. This would make Patchy mad. Patchy will then start criticizing Patchy's poor hygiene, as Patchy puts hamburger meat in his boot, lets rats roam around the kitchen, and doesn't wash his hands, Which, to be fair, I don't really know how you could wash your hands if one of them is a sharp hook, but still. Patty will then put a hairnet on Patchy's beard and say that's a start in the right direction. Patchy hates the hairnet and asks why he has to wear it. Then Patty will ask why Patchy is wearing a Kiss a Chef apron. Patchy says it's to attract the ladies. Then Patty says Patchy disgusts him. This causes Patchy to get furious, as he will start throwing patties at Patty. However, one of the patties accidentally hits the boss in the face, and the boss will furiously call both Patchy and Patty into his office, ending the scene. After SpongeBob's episode ends, we return to Patchy and we find out that both him and Patty got fired. However, it seems like they were both able to mend their friendship, and Patty even received a golden parachute, both figuratively and literally. Patchy will then comment how it'd be hard to replace him. However, Patty points out that they already have, as we see a gorilla cooking. This makes Patchy mad and he will start insulting the gorilla. This will also make the gorilla mad as he will start throwing patties at Patchy, ending the episode. These segments were a lot like the ones in SpongeBob BC, and the fact that Patchy and Patty get into an argument and cause chaos. And I think it's very entertaining to see these two go at each other. I also think it was cool for the scenery to change, as it made the segments feel more special, since the segment so far only took place in Patchy's house. But Gorilla was also a personal highlight for me as well, since it was just a random and funny cameo. While I will say there was probably a little bit too much content squished in, like Patchy's montage, and Patty's criticisms of Patchy's hygiene, both going on for over 30 seconds, it was still an enjoyable and memorable watch overall. Patchy's next appearance will be in the short SpongeBob vs. the Patty gadget, and while he doesn't make a physical appearance, he does narrate the episode, so I'll quickly go over what happens. Patchy opens up the episode and we see SpongeBob working at the Krusty Krab. Then all of a sudden, Squidward brings in a machine that makes Krabby Patties fast, in the hopes of getting SpongeBob fired. However, SpongeBob isn't going down without a fight, and challenges the machine to a cook-off. Squidward tries to push the machine, but SpongeBob always has the upper hand. Eventually, the machine will blow up, declaring SpongeBob the winner. However, SpongeBob will collapse and a funeral service will be held. But instead of it being SpongeBob's, it's actually the machine's funeral. SpongeBob will dance on the machine's grave as Patchy closes out the episode. While I did like the episode on its own and thought that the twist at the end was clever, I think Patchy's narration makes the episode better, as his narration style with him rhyming gives the episode energy.
The crowd was impressed.
Wow!
They cheered full of glee, all except Patrick, who had to go pee.
I'm honestly surprised that the writing crew hasn't made more episodes like this, as Patchy is a good narrator, but still, this was a nice surprise and something I wish would be done more. In an earlier video, I mentioned Atlantis SquarePants as an episode I would like to take a look at in the future, since I thought it had a lot of problems. However, I will go ahead and talk about Patchy's segment since he does appear in the special. Hopefully Patchy can revive the episode some, right? The episode starts with Patchy experiencing a fate worse than death. LA traffic during rush hour. Also, I'm not really familiar with LA law, but I think it might be illegal to drive a wooden boat on the highway. Anyway, he's trying to get home so he can watch the new SpongeBob special. Patty calls Patchy to check up on him. Patchy says he'll probably be late and to record the special. However, Patty says they threw away the DVR. This makes Patchy mad and he starts yelling at Patty. Then a car starts honking at him, and this makes Patchy even angrier, as he starts yelling at the driver. Patchy will then see the traffic starting to move and will try to move forward by pulling his anchor off the road. Yeah, that's definitely illegal. Anyway, Patchy will finally escape traffic, but notices that Cino's missing as it's now just a huge desert. Patchy will then crawl on the ground as he will tell about SpongeBob finding a lost city, beginning the episode. At the midway point, we will see Patchy still traveling through the desert. He will begin to lose hope as he is dehydrated and is close to dying. He will then start to hallucinate as he sees SpongeBob and
Patchy, it's me, SpongeBob SquarePants.
oh my god, get that abomination away from my screen. The thing would say that Cino is not gone and he just has to believe. Patchy will then take one last breath before he collapses. Patchy then dreams that he's back in Cino as he is relieved. However, when he wakes up, he realizes that he is still in the desert, as vultures start circling around him. Patchy will then hallucinate Patty giving him a sandwich, but since he doesn't like mayo, he tries giving it to one of the vultures, ending the scene. After the episode ends, we return to Patchy, who has finally found Encino. However, is shrunken down. Then all of a sudden, aliens would come down and say that their son accidentally shrunk Encino. Patchy starts throwing a fit and demands that the aliens bring back Encino. He will then start saying there's no place like home, referencing the Wizard of Oz. The aliens will return Encino back to normal size, as Patchy gets stuck in a tornado, being another reference to the Wizard of Oz. I really don't get why they're doing these references, as Atlantis Square Pantis nor the Patchy segments had a Wizard of Oz theme, but okay I guess. Anyway, everything is back to normal as Patchy sits in his house, except
Patty?
Patty is now gigantic and crushes Patchy under his foot, ending the episode. If I'm being honest here, then these are the first segments that I would consider bad, and since I already thought Atlantis Square Pantis wasn't that good, these segments only made the episode feel worse. For one, the segments are sort of a jumbled up mess. In previous segments, they were usually simple, like Patchy celebrating Christmas, or Patchy and Patty arguing about the past and future. Here, we go from Patchy being stuck in traffic, to Patchy getting lost in the desert, to Patchy encountering aliens. Everything transitions so fast that there really isn't any time to let things breathe. Also, Patty doesn't really appear that much, which I think really hampers these segments, since Patty sorta goes against Patchy and gives them conflict. Here, however, most of the segments are just Patchy walking through the desert and seeing weird shit, which makes these segments boring. When Patty did appear, there were some entertaining moments, like him and Patchy arguing over the phone, as well as Patty becoming a giant and crushing Patchy. However, for the most part, these segments were just boring and a weird jumbled up mess. Patchy's next appearance will be in the Season 6 special Truth or Square. However, this isn't your typical SpongeBob special, as this one will celebrate the 10-year anniversary of SpongeBob. This is also Patchy's longest appearance, as his segments take up almost 40 minutes of the 1-hour episode. So let's see what they have to offer. The episode will start with British personality Ricky Gervais introducing Patchy. As we see Patchy's highs and lows over the years, Gervais will then say that Patchy will be throwing a 10-year anniversary for its fan club, as we transition to Patchy. Patchy will arrive at Nickelodeon Studios. As he says, it's the home of SpongeBob SquarePants, and he is there to invite him to his faniversary.
Yes, this is Patchy the Pirate for SpongeBob SquarePants. Believe he's expecting me. I sent him over 400 letters this week.
Wait, so Patchy actually believes SpongeBob is a real person? Even if he was, I wouldn't know why he'd be at Nick's studio since he needs water to live. Anyway, Patchy talks to the security guard and is given access to enter, for God knows why. He then keeps asking the guard about SpongeBob.
Here, where is he, at lunch? An important meeting.
I'm not sure, sir.
Or getting his boat waxed?
As someone who writes to SpongeBob 400 times and is the president of his fan club, you should know that SpongeBob doesn't have a boat since he doesn't know how to drive. Patchy will then get settled in and is given a shrimp cocktail, ending the scene, as we finally transition to SpongeBob. But don't worry, we return to Patchy 5 minutes later. He sees a Rolodex full of celebrities' names and numbers. Then an angel and devil version of Patty will argue if Patchy should use it or not. Patchy eventually decides to use the Rolodex and tries to invite some celebrities to his faniversary. During his phone calls, it switches back and forth to SpongeBob's section. I'm not going to talk much about the phone calls, since they're all about the same with either the celebrity not being interested or having other commitments. I will, however, mention the celebrities he does call, which includes Rosario Dawson, Triumph the Insult Comic Dog, LeBron James, Tina Fey, Will Ferrell, and Craig Ferguson. Patchy actually finds out from Ferguson that Robin Williams will be on his show. Patchy then decides to kidnap Williams, and this is a very realistic and uncomfortable scene to watch.
Hey, Dave. I'm at the Ferguson show, I think. And there's this pirate.
Mr. Williams! Everything okay on the poop deck?
Wait a minute, I know this place. This is where careers come to die!
Patchy will then take Williams to the green room and tells him not to go anywhere as he tries to round up more celebrities, Williams were obviously bowled out of it since Patchy is a psychopath. This would end the scene. When we return to Patchy, we see the guests they actually did manage to get, which includes a chicken, someone dressed as Abraham Lincoln, someone dressed as the late Queen Elizabeth, a ventriloquist, and most importantly, singer-songwriter Pink. Patchy would then get up on stage and try to entertain the audience by singing and dancing. However, Patchy is awful at this, and Party tells him to move on to something else. Patchy would then start talking, saying how 10 years ago he created the SpongeBob fan club to celebrate SpongeBob's legacy. He would then try to introduce SpongeBob onto the stage. Wait, what? Obviously, SpongeBob wouldn't show up, because as Tina Fey said...
But he's a cartoon.
Anyway, Patchy would start throwing a fit, saying that he hasn't heard from SpongeBob even though he sent him a bagload of letters, and even raised charity for him. He then storms off, trying to hunt down SpongeBob. Not only am I embarrassed for Patchy, I'm embarrassed at myself for watching this. We then go to Pink, who is instantly regretting showing up. Trust me, Pink, you're not the only one. Anyway, Party tells her that it'll be a few minutes before she can sing, and Pink decides to practice. She performs a song called We Got Scurvy, and to be honest, this is probably the best moment from the special. Yeah, the song is corny, but sorta catchy and it fits the theme of SpongeBob well. Also, Pink is a pretty good singer, so it works for her. Anyway, we then see Patchy into the ocean as he heads for Bikini Bottom. However, he will be eventually swallowed by a whale, ending the scene. When we return to Patchy, he starts to lose hope that he'll make it alive, and decides to pull out a projector and tell about the history of SpongeBob, as his last parting gift. Well, this is a cheerful way to celebrate SpongeBob's anniversary, isn't it? Instead of showing the actual history of SpongeBob, we see a bunch of unfunny gags in an old-timey SpongeBob cartoon. It would have been cool if they used traditional cell animation, but it's fine for what it is. We then see parodies of the SpongeBob theme song, starring Patrick, Squidward, and Mr. Krabs. I thought Krabs fighting Hans for a bag of money was funny, but besides that, these weren't anything special. Anyway, the projector would start to burn up, and this would cause Burrell to spit out Patchy, where he lands in the studio and is unconscious. We then see Patchy's dream of finally meeting SpongeBob. However, he passes out and finally recovers in the real world thanks to Abraham Lincoln and friends. Patchy will ask where SpongeBob is at, and his friends will say that SpongeBob exists within our hearts and minds. Lincoln will then take off his hat, revealing a SpongeBob plushie. Then Patchy will pass out again, ending the Patchy segments. The episode will end with Ricky Gervais pointing out another failure by Patchy, and would say that Patchy gives pirates a bad name, since he isn't really that intimidating. He will then conclude the 10th year anniversary, and says it's now time to look forward to the 20th anniversary, ending the episode. As you could probably tell from my comments, I thought these segments were awful. While the Legend Square Panthers segments were also bad, at least they only lasted for about 5 minutes, and there were a few moments that I thought were funny. However, in these segments, not only were they not entertaining, but they went on for far too long. The segments also had a very negative vibe to them. You figured that the segments would be upbeat and cheerful to celebrate SpongeBob's 10th anniversary. But it seemed like most of the people didn't even care or even want to be involved in this episode, and just sends a bad message. However, with all that being said, I still thought there were a few good things here and there. I thought the gag of Abraham Lincoln being called the guy in the penny was sorta funny, and there were a few other things as well. But the highlight was easily Pink's song, as it just fits the vibe of SpongeBob very well. Recently in an interview, Pink would actually talk about the song, and says it was something that she regretted doing. I don't know if Pink will ever see this video, but on the off chance that she does, I just want to say that this song isn't something that you should be ashamed of, as it made for some fun memories for thousands of fans like myself. I would however be embarrassed that I showed up on this special in the first place. In modern versions of this episode, the segments aren't that long since a lot has been cut out, but still, to celebrate SpongeBob's anniversary, I would have rather seen SpongeBob himself than Patchy hanging out with celebrities. Patchy's next appearance would be in the Season 8 Christmas special, It's a SpongeBob Christmas. Unlike the previous SpongeBob Christmas special, this one is done in stop motion, as a tribute to Rankin Bass's holiday specials. This will be the first time that we will see Patchy as a non-live action character, so with that being said, let's take a look at the episode. The episode will start with Patchy introducing the audience. We see that he's dressed as a mailman, being a direct parody of a mailman from the holiday classic Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Anyway, it's shown that Patchy actually abducted the mailman, as he attempts to meet Santa personally. Patchy and Party will then get into an argument about which Christmas song will help them get to the North Pole. Then all of a sudden, a fork will appear on the road, and this will cause Patchy to crash, ending the scene. When we return, we find out that Patchy and Party are okay. However, they now have a flat tire, and are in the cold as they are stranded in the woods. They decide to build a campfire to try to get warm. However, they are also hungry, and this causes both Patchy and Party to hallucinate, as they both try to eat each other as the scene ends. After the SpongeBob special ends, we return to Patchy. He sees what he thinks is Santa's workshop and goes inside. Patchy will then sit on Santa's lap and asks Santa to let him meet SpongeBob. However, it's not the real Santa, as it's actually a polar bear that wants to eat Patchy. The bear will then start to chase Patchy, as we see the real Santa talking to Party. Santa says that Patchy has been naughty since he stole the mail truck, as Party will agree with him. They revenge both rich the audience a Merry Christmas, ending the episode. While these segments weren't as good as the ones from Christmas Who, I still thought they were nice. I really liked how it paid tribute to Rankin Bass specials, and the stop motion really makes these segments special in my opinion. Also, I did enjoy this set of segments more than the previous two, so that's something. Overall, the segments gave a really nice atmosphere. Patchy's next appearance will be in the season 10 episode, Farewell Friends. This will actually mark Patchy's first live-action appearance in nearly a decade since Truth or Square, so with that being said, let's take a look at what these segments have to offer. The episode will start with Patchy rowing a boat towards the Bikini Bottom island. He says he's there to witness an event that only happens every 100 years. Party will then come flying by as he's trying to catch a fish. Patchy will get aggravated at Party, but Party will remind him that he's a predator. Wait, how is Party a predator? I thought parrots mostly ate fruits and nuts. Anyway, Patchy and Party will make up, but Party will bite Patchy's fingers and begin laughing. Patchy ignores him since it's something he's used to by now, and pulls out a telescope to look at the event, as we transition to SpongeBob. During SpongeBob's section, we find out that the event is known as Neptune's Moon, and will transform all the citizens in Bikini Bottom to their natural form. Pearl now will transition us back to Patchy, as she will jump over his boat. The boat will then start to fill up with water, and both Patchy and Party will try to get the water out, as we transition back to SpongeBob. After SpongeBob's episode ends, things will start to settle down. However, Patchy's boat is starting to sink, and sharks are swimming around him. But actually, it's the French narrator, who is here to warn him about Neptune's sun, which transforms land animals instead of sea animals. However, it's too late, and Patchy will be transformed into a caveman while Party turns into a pterodactyl. Party will then carry off Patchy, ending the episode. You know, if I had a nickel for every time Patchy got eaten by a dinosaur, I would have two, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? Anyway, there was a few things that I noticed. The first was that Party's voice has changed drastically.
Now I can!
While it does take some time to get used to, it's understandable since SpongeBob has been going on for a while, and changes are expected to happen. Second thing is that these segments pretty much confirm that Patchy and SpongeBob are in the same universe. In the past, while Patchy did try to contact SpongeBob, it was mostly played off as a joke, or people will look at Patchy like he's crazy. Here, however, Patchy would go to Bikini Bottom, and even interact with characters like Pearl and Sandy, which is interesting to say the least. As for the segments themselves, I thought they were pretty good. While nothing in particular stood out, the segments were at least amusing and kept my attention without overstaying their welcome. I also liked how SpongeBob's and Patchy's plots are connected towards one another, which is something that hasn't happened previously, so overall, a very solid appearance by Patchy. Patchy's next appearance will be in the season 12 special, SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout. This special will celebrate SpongeBob's 20th anniversary, and as of this video being released, will be the last live action appearance from Patchy. So let's see if the writing crew learned anything from the last anniversary special. The episode will begin with Patchy trying to deliver a present for SpongeBob's birthday. However, his boat doesn't want to start. Patty tries to work on it, but it will only fling Patchy into the garage. They both decide it'll probably be best to go on foot, and will slide away as SpongeBob's section begins. During SpongeBob's section, he decides to go on tour of the real world with Patrick. During this tour, they actually encounter Patchy several times. The first time is when the tank bus almost has a head-on collision with Patchy's bike. The second encounter will be at a restaurant called the Trusty Slab, basically the live-action Krusty Krab. Patchy will arrive as the tank is leaving. Patchy will ask if they have a bathroom for Patty, but Manward said they didn't, so Patty has to wait. The final encounter is when the tank will accidentally run over David Hasselhoff's foot. Patchy will be nearby, and Hasselhoff blames Patchy for running over his foot. He will then pull Patchy's hat over his head and storm off angrily. Patchy will get mad at Patty for not sticking up for him. He'd then try to figure a way to get to Bikini Bottom. Patty notices a cannon and Patchy will thank Patty by kissing him, which makes Patty sick. Patchy and Patty then shoot themselves out of the cannon and land on Bikini Bottom. Near the end of the episode, SpongeBob will finally receive Patchy's present, which will be Patchy's head. I don't know what SpongeBob could do with that, but I guess it's the thought that counts. Patchy and SpongeBob then have a nice embrace as SpongeBob hugs Patchy. SpongeBob is sort of upset that no one sang him a birthday song, so Patchy decides to sing one for him. Then everyone from Bikini Bottom will start singing a parody of SpongeBob's theme song, ending the episode. Some celebrities will also wish SpongeBob a happy birthday, and I'll list their names down below. This was a really nice segment that had some funny moments, as well as being a great representation of what SpongeBob is, with being goofy but also having a lot of heart as well. I really enjoyed the effects with Patchy just sliding across the sidewalk, as well as his land legs. David Hasselhoff's cameo was also a nice and funny surprise. Most importantly, however, Patchy would finally meet his idol after 20 years, which was a satisfying conclusion, unlike the previous times where they were cheap cop-outs. These segments vastly improved on the ones from Truth or Square, as they didn't last long and had a more positive vibe to them, which I think is something that the writing staff learned from, so props to them. Patchy will appear in yet another Christmas special, as he will make an appearance in the season 13 episode, SpongeBob's Road to Christmas. As of this video, this would be Patchy's last appearance. It will also be unique as it will be his first animated appearance. Throughout the episode, SpongeBob and Patrick decide to go to the North Pole. Plankton will also tag along so he can try to get on the nice list. Anyway, when the three goes to the surface world, they will end up in Encino, California, and by now you know what that means. They will go into a building and find what they think is Santa, however, it's actually Patchy the pirate. SpongeBob will think that Patchy is actually Santa, however, Patchy tells him that he just plays Santa for the holidays, and that the North Pole is 4,000 miles away. SpongeBob is bummed that they don't have any directions. Patchy will then give him a map to the North Pole, and Patty will give him a compass. The compass will crush Plankton, making him mad, as Patchy and Patty laugh about it. SpongeBob will thank Patchy and be on his way. Patchy will wish him luck and asks for a new parrot. This makes Patty mad as he asks for a new pirate. Near the end of the episode, SpongeBob will give Plankton a picture of him with Patchy, which Plankton enjoyed. He will then shovel coal into a robot and destroy the Krusty Krab, ending the episode. Since Patchy only appeared for a minute, I don't really have a strong opinion on his appearance. However, I will say that Patchy as an anime character is sort of frightening to look at, and seems out of place in SpongeBob's universe. Patty is even more frightening, as he looks broken, similar to Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic. The other human characters throughout the episode also look really uncanny, and I just wish they could use live action in the surface world, as it would have made the Christmas special more unique. However, with the current direction SpongeBob is going in, I think animated Patchy is something myself, as well as many others, will have to get used to. Anyway, that's basically the history of Patchy the Pirate. While Patchy would make appearances in commercials, and will even make an appearance in Big Time Rush Hour of all places. However, I decided not to talk too much about them here since the video will be long enough as it is. But if you want to see a video about those appearances, please let me know in the comments down below. After nearly 25 years, Patchy has gone through some major changes. As someone who represents SpongeBob as being the president of his fan club, he has now formed a solid relationship with SpongeBob himself, as they are now pretty decent friends. As for Patchy, he has also seen some major changes. Patchy will go for 3 different voice actors, from Steven Hillenburg for the first 3 seasons, to Paul Tibbets starting with the episode Friend or Foe, to now currently Doug Lawrence, starting with Feral Friends. Patchy has also seemed to mellow out over the years, as him and Patchy aren't fighting as much as they used to. However, while the segments are more peaceful, there's less drama between Patchy and Patchy, and I feel like it removed what was special about the earlier segments. While Patchy and Patchy were still friends in those segments, they would often spend a lot of time fighting before making up at the end. I thought it gave the segments conflict and made them fun. I also think Patchy and SpongeBob coexisting was a mistake. When Hillenburg created Patchy, he did so with the intent to make specials feel special by having a live-action host. And it worked by Patchy introducing SpongeBob and telling the story as the episode played out, which was something that wasn't seen much in animation at the time. However, with Patchy and SpongeBob now interacting, it makes Patchy feel not as special, and because of that, I think Patchy has peaked as a character, which is the main reason why I decided to make this video, to not only talk about Patchy's evolution, but to also serve as a tribute to Patchy's highs and lows. With all that being said, the final question I have to ask is, what will Patchy's future look like? For me personally, I don't think the segments will be as bad as Truth or Square, but I do think they will be similar to SpongeBob's World of Christmas, as Patchy will start to appear more as an animated character instead of live action. Still, I think Patchy will be remembered as someone who played a big part in making SpongeBob what he is today. Not only has a lot of his older segments become memes over the years, but there are many channels and fan pages dedicated to Patchy the Pirate. And I have to give a lot of praise to Tom Kenny as Patchy, since he gives the character an infectious and fun energy. At the end of the day, Patchy represents the fans' love for SpongeBob, and no matter how old we get, we can still have fun and enjoy SpongeBob, as well as having fond memories of him. Anyway, with that being said, Koopa out.